Mr. Dilshod. Let me introduce to you all a little bit about Mr. Dilshod. So Mr. Dilshod Jumaniyazov is
Jumaniyazov, yes.
Yeah, Jumaniyazov, is a CFA Charterholder. If you don't know what is CFA, it is actually Chartered Financial Analyst. So the CFA is actually, a certificate that is globally recognized, professional designation awarded by the CFA Institute. So if you want to get this certificate, you have to go through the courses and also exams, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it, Mr. Dilshod? Okay. So anyway, Mr. Dilshod is very passionate about finance and technology. So he has worked at Wells Fargo Securities as a Capital Markets Analyst for more than 7 years. So what he did was evaluating and approving models for multiple trading platforms. Okay, so Mr. Dilshod has a very lifelong dream to launch an Islamic investment and trading platform. So that's why he has his, Musaffa here, and that it was formerly known as AmanaTrade. Okay, so Mr. Dilshod received his bachelor degree in finance from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville in the USA. And then he did his MBA from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Later, he received his professional certificate in data science from Harvard University. So that's a little bit about the background of Mr. Dilshod. So I won't, waste more time. I pass this floor to Mr. Dilshod.
Thank you, sister, a lot for introducing. Actually, we can go and start, and we can talk about we can go through slides, and then we can go through talk about what issues are facing in general Muslims around the world when it comes to investments, and then we can talk about what we are doing, trying to help that and solve that issue or problem. Okay, so if it's okay, I can start sharing the slides. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, let me go 1 second. Sorry, just 1 second. Let me put it up. So let me know if you can see my screen. 1 second. So you should be able to see my screen. Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Inshallah, from the beginning. I wonder if it's showing the right way. 1 second. Let me make sure I got it right. 1 second. Okay, I think I got the right one now. So do you see the whole screen now?
Yes.
Okay, mashallah. Okay, let's get started. So today we want to talk about a general topic first, is why Muslims around the world they should engage in Sharia compliant stock market. And we're also going to talk about the challenges and also opportunities in this arena, right? So let's go and start talking about the questions are, why do Muslims need to be financially literate? And that's I'm very passionate about this one. And I've been personally been in the United States for the past 20 years. I've been living here, and I did my as you mentioned, bachelor's and master's in CFA, everything in US. And plus I have over 10 years experience working for a hedge fund and working for investment bank. So the question is, why Muslims need financial literate? I can say that from my own experience working and studying finance almost all my life, I can tell you that that Muslims in general, I would say Muslim countries in general, I personally feel a lot behind when compared to Western countries when it comes to finance, especially. And that's instead of seeing as a problem, we see as opportunities to help Muslims around the world and how we can do that. So I'll talk about it a little bit later. So why Muslims need to engage in Sharia compliant stock market? Okay. So again, I want to give you a couple of examples. As you guys know, for example, if you look at Apple right now, just one example of Google, they surpassed like $2 trillion in market capitalization. And that's a big number. That's actually bigger than most countries like GDPs, like 10, 20 times bigger than most countries' GDPs. Just one company's market capitalization. And when you see that, it's actually, we can see that it's actually contributing to the growth of the world economy. But how Muslims are benefiting from that? I'm just giving you one company, one example. But in general, the trillions of dollars, we're going to talk about that actually in the market floating right now. But are Muslims, are they taking advantage of that? Or they're working really hard actually to make things happen? So, I'll give a little bit talk about here, less slides, a little bit more about the talk. So if you really look at the worldwide right now, look at the Muslim countries, we can start with Indonesia, Malaysia. Malaysia being a little bit more developed when it comes to Islamic finance and finance in general. But if you look at Bangladesh, look at India, look at Pakistan, those countries, a lot of majority Muslim people, like literally like we got almost 2 billion people around the world. But if you take an average Muslim, we want to see like how much they have. Maybe they want to send their kids to school, or maybe for retirement, anything you look, it's nothing that actually like most people even talk about it. And they don't even know like actually you can actually invest. Not even stock market, I'm talking about just investing like any kind of securities. So in general, we actually started this company like last year. Alhamdulillah, we have almost like 20 people right now, with the mission actually of educating and actually helping the Muslims around the world actually engage in the stock market or engage in financial markets. And unfortunately, even like from our research, we find out that a lot of people, they automatically assume it's like Muslims not allowed to invest in anything, or especially the stock market. So they have this kind of misconception actually we're trying to change right now. So, and let me go second slide. So why stock market? I'll tell you why. In a minute, actually, I'm gonna share very interesting statistics about why Muslims, they should invest, and when they invest, they don't have a lot of options. So when it comes to like, I'm talking about the financial assets, not buying a business straight, right? Like owning a small business, something, maybe one example where they can actually go maybe be financially independent. But the problem is like not everybody can own a business. Not everybody can run it. It's like hardships and difficulties, right? So, but stock market is something nice because you don't need to work hard. Actually, you just need to like think smartly to make money in stock market, and you know what, you can do it in a Sharia compliant way. So in short, I'll talk about this one. I think I can go back and forth, and then here's the thing I want to talk about. So when it comes to stock markets around the world, so this is just a statistic from like Statista. So if you guys can see like, so global domestic equity market, so it's like stock market, you could say, it increased from like 65 trillion to 116.78, almost $117 trillion in around the world. That's a huge amount of number. That's actually, if you made up a lot of countries' GDPs, actually, they don't even add up to this number. This is a worldwide, $117 trillion right now. And interesting part, I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to come back to actually investing in stocks and why we do that. And if you look at here, from this statistics, like according to like Securities Industry and Financial Market Association, $119 trillion invest in bond market. I'm not talking about the fixed income. I'm talking about the just bond market, which Muslims cannot invest because of the riba. So this is a huge volume, 119. Actually, it's actually a little bit even higher in the volume, like from equity market, as you guys can see. And the interesting part would be this one. This is a very interesting statistics, and this is actually the case. So derivatives market, it's like 1.2 quadrillion. So that's like $1,200 billion. So that amount is actually like, again, Muslims cannot invest again because derivatives based on speculation mostly, but they're not really asset based. So that's actually not allowed, so it's not Sharia compliant mostly. So as you guys can see, some market analysts estimate derivatives market at more than 10 times the size of total GDP of the world. So that's amazing, because most of this, the volume is so high because most of the things are actually based on nominal value, which is not actually really asset based. You can just really basically you can make up numbers to do derivative transaction. So this is also not allowed for Muslims. I'll give you one very interesting statistics right here. If you just let's assume that let's think that this is not all. I'm not even including like commodities, which is going to be mostly derivatives anyway, because of the futures and forwards that you trade. So, and options are the part of derivatives. So if you look at the numbers here, which is very interesting. So total market, I'm just taking stocks and bond derivatives just to make it very simple. I'm not even including the different asset class like real estate, or as I said, maybe like fixed income. It's just a bond market. Fixed income is actually a lot bigger than the bond market. So if you guys can see percentages here, like 8% around the stock market, and bond market is 8.29, and derivatives in volume is like 84% almost. So as you guys can see, Muslims are limited to stock market since they cannot participate in bond market or derivatives market. So that can eliminate their options. So even stock market, based on our own research, we actually completed analyzing all the companies in Indonesia and Malaysia. And right now we work in the UK and the United States. So based on our research, I would say that around 36-37% of companies are Sharia compliant based on AFI standards that we follow. So that 8% stock market, as you can see here, that's 8% in volume that Muslims have access to. Even from that, 65% almost not allowed to invest based on Sharia standards. So that also brings it at 3%. So this is a very interesting fact, because if you think about this, out of this 100%, we can only allow to invest in 3%. And that's why stock market, the importance of it is very huge. If you want to be participating in stock market, or if you want to do it Sharia compliant way, basically. As I said, it's amazing that the companies actually around the world, they became so powerful. Because why? Because again, instead of people opening like small business, everybody, they can get together, and they can pool the money, and they can actually form a corporation, and that corporation issues stocks. So when you talk about the stock market, a lot of people get intimidated, especially a lot of Muslims get intimidated because they think, oh, it's too hard, or it's something I don't understand. But actually, every stock, what the stock is actually is a share or a piece of paper that shows you have a claim to the company and its cash flows. So basically, you're just buying a business. If you think that way, it's actually not that intimidating anymore. You just buy a business, you just buy a share from the business. And that business, you want to make sure it's Sharia compliant. So as I was saying, I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about the principles of actually investing in stock market. So of course, like my background being like coming from traditional finance, let me talk about that a little bit. Working over years at different, like in companies in the United States, like I've seen like so many like actually how the finance got like advanced in Western countries, especially doing my CFA certification. As you mentioned, I had to go over like 10,000 pages of traditional finance or conventional finance. And I realized that it's basically traditional finance, almost everything is almost built on interest. Anything, even the stock market right now, how they price it based on some kind of interest. Like usually when you calculate the future cash flows and you discount to the present, of course, you're gonna have to like calculate the, you're gonna have to take the risk-free rate, which comes from the US government, for example, in US case, that's also based on interest. That's why when you have a Federal Reserve here, they say they increase or decrease the interest rate, and stock market moves depending on it, right? If they reduce it, if they reduce it, it affects or if it increases it, it instantly affects the stock market. I'm not even talking about that. Almost all derivatives are based on interest. Like we can talk about interest rate swaps and futures. So all the modern finance, whatever you can think of, the interest is kind of backbone. So I realized that after seeing that, working in that industry, and that's why it becomes so much harder for Muslims around the world to do anything. Like especially in the United States, for example, even you work at the bank, it's like interest-based everything. So that makes you question where you're working, how you're making your money. So there's a lot of conflict of interest for Muslims. So that's why one of the reasons we started this company, and alhamdulillah, right now we are building like Sharia compliant actual institution. As I said, we started last year. In 1 year, we got over 20 people. And right now, we started actually helping Muslims around the world by giving free access for now to our platform where they can actually look for Sharia compliant stocks. And inshallah, soon we're going to be giving the reasons for every single company why they're Sharia compliant, why you can or cannot invest. So before talking about in that, I want to give you about a little bit nature of the Sharia compliant investments. How we want it to be actually, how do we analyze that, right? So again, we do have very renowned like Sharia advisors on our board, and we go through like for now, and let's say we're analyzing companies, could be Apple, Amazon, or Maybank, any like in Indonesia. So when we analyze the companies, actually, we have so many questions. Actually, we list them and then we get a session with our Sharia advisors. We have Mufti Faraz, very well known from UK, and we have Dr. Aznan from Malaysia. So they are official Sharia advisors. So constantly we talk to them, ask questions, how we treat this, how we treat that, and because it's very sensitive. So we get help in terms of that. And how do we actually determine the companies, for example, like Sharia compliant or not? So of course we have to go we go by AFI standards, but it's much more than that. There's a lot of responsibility. So we basically go over like quarterly reports in detail. If not, then we're gonna go jump into annual reports. We go to visit company's website and we go through like presentations, or we go dig deeper to like public records. And at the end, if you're not even sure, we call the company and try to talk to the company actually if you have any kind of questions. So, and anyway, let me give you a little bit about the principles of investment in stock market, right? So first of all, nature of the business of the company must be Sharia compliant, right? So we have to look at the core operations of the company. So for example, Apple. A lot of people actually interested because they think it's a Sharia compliant, and actually we mostly recommend people like to Muslims avoid actually investing in Apple, for example, and we stand by it based on research. For example, if you look at the corporations of the Apple, is good, right? So if you look at, they make like iPhones, or they make like nice like laptops, iWatch, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem comes when they have like services, for example, like 20. I think the latest report like about 20%, around 20% revenue comes from actually from services, and which has like Apple TV and music and advertising. So since they bundle it together, so it's very hard to figure out exactly how many percent comes from Sharia compliant. Based on our rules, like if it's more than 5%, we just kind of like eliminate that from our investment universe as being not Sharia compliant. I'm just giving you one example. So we're gonna go look at the nature of the company. So we're gonna look at the core operations of the company and make sure it's a Sharia compliant. If it is, then we're gonna look at the different, like maybe do they have a side project, or maybe they have too much cash laying around where they invest in like interest-bearing securities, right? So again, we look at the market capitalization of the company. There's different ratios. For example, one is like debt to market capitalization. And again, as we talked, like stocks can be traded, can be like, there are some specific rules, but basically they can, you can invest in the companies actually, as long as the nature of the company, or core operations of the company is okay, and it passes all different like screening and filter. So we know that speculation and gambling is strictly prohibited. That's why we have these derivatives out of the picture, which is basically purely, I would say, based on speculations. For example, if you talk about the futures of forwards, actually, you're talking about the contracts that actually you need to sign based on the future prices, for example, for futures of forwards, that maybe that actually you can sign the contract that actually you don't own the asset yet. So in that case, it becomes like more like a speculation, right? So that's why derivatives not main reason not allowed. And again, we talk about the Islamic scholars like some of the transactions like margin trading, derivatives, options and futures, short selling, which is the thing actually interesting because it lets you sell the asset you don't own, you just borrow. So that's not allowed. So there is so many like actually different transactions, like we have to go and dig deeper, actually find out if we combine or not. It's a very, very challenging thing that we do right now. Of course, I'm going to talk about the company and what we actually intend to do in the future, inshallah. But right now, we are analyzing companies in and out. And all day long, we have several full-time analysts actually we hire and train. And that's what we do right now. And let's go back to, of course, like I'll give my speech and then I'd love to take questions later. So again, we're going to come back to again, limited access to the global stock market for Muslims around the world. For example, right now in Indonesia, it's amazing. We look at Indonesia, we see a very potentially, we see very promising country in terms of growth, inshallah, and over 200 million Muslims in general. And the thing is, like, the problem, not just Indonesia, but most of the countries actually, Muslim majority countries, like regular people, they do not have that much access actually to invest around the world. So for example, being in the USA, it's easy to tell, like, let's say if you're an average investor, you still have opportunity to invest around anywhere in the world, almost anywhere. I can sit here, I can buy stocks and shares from Brazil, from like Indonesia, from Malaysia. Why? Because again, finance, or you could say that it's much more developed, and there is much more transparency, and then rules and regulations are set up in a place that actually it allows you to actually invest and potentially become financially independent, but it doesn't have limitations just to being on your own country. And we realize that this challenge in, for example, in Indonesia and Malaysia. Malaysia is much more developed income, but still Indonesia has some, for example, challenges actually for regular people investing in, like, for example, any kind of, for example, Tesla, if they want to invest, how they're going to invest. So the things like, of course, we're going to talk about the rules and regulations, and we're going to see, like, inshallah, what we can do that to help, like, those countries. Maybe we need to work with the regulators, actually, kind of like come up with the different rules and regulations which allow actually for regular Muslims around the world to participate in actually financial markets and eventually become like financially independent. So let me go back in here. Yeah, this one is one way. I want to talk about FDI, and I want to talk about it a little bit because it's interesting fact, because as you guys can see, FDI is growing. FDI is like foreign direct investment, right? So basically, FDI is like usually corporations and big businesses, and they go and they open branches or subsidiaries in like developing countries like Indonesia, Bangladesh, and if you get for India, for example, they open factories. But the things like they go and directly invest in the country. And by building, like, let's say they can build plants, they can build like buildings, or they can buy machineries. Yeah, that helps probably with the job for people to get, but it doesn't help regular ordinary people who wants to become more like financially independent, or somehow make some Sharia compliant money without actually sweating a lot. And my concern, like I've been thinking from the beginning, I give this kind of example. For example, let's say in any country, it doesn't have to be Indonesia, but it could be any Muslim country around the world. Like parents, for example, think about it this way: they want to send their children to school, and they need to save money. So, very basic example, and that's actually it's based on real life. So, for example, they want to like save for like $5,000 by the time their child goes to school. But what kind of like hurts? Think about this way, guys. So that $5,000, it has to be earned, worked really hard day and night, and they by dollar, they actually save this money to make $5,000. Maybe they save it in like 5 years. So $1,000 a year is just put on the side because they have this intention in 5 years. But the things like they don't have to work so hard and make every penny out of it. Maybe there's a way to invest $3,000-4,000 by the time their children goes to school. That's going to be $5,000. So is it possible? Yes. If you look at the Google, for example, let's look at the Tesla or any other kind of Sharia compliant, like any Google being questionable, but any kind of Sharia compliant company. If you look at, if you can participate in that growth, instead of actually working really hard, making the $5,000, maybe over 3-4 years, like 4 years, 5 years, you can invest that money and you're gonna have around like $5,000. So that means like you save 2 years of labor. So that's what actually hits me when I think about actually how we can help like Muslims around the world, right? Just one very small example. And FDI is something interesting because foreign direct investment done by corporations usually, and well, as you guys can see, it's exceeding pre-pandemic levels by 43%. So it hit like 870 billion, almost $1 trillion. But this investment is happening, yes, but it's happening directly inside the country, but it's not happening where it's not happening where ordinary people like they can invest in this kind of stuff to take actually only it helps with the economy by creating jobs and paying taxes, but it doesn't help like average person. Like even the FDI goes up unless there is some rules or regulations put in place where people can invest in again, I don't want to keep saying stock market, make it more intimidating. Investing in businesses around the world. Investing in business doesn't have to be like when you open a business with your partner and you start investing, you oversee everything. No, investing in business can be through stock market by buying shares. That's how I think if we see it, it's going to be less intimidating and it's going to be easier for people to accept it. So anyway, again, this is a big challenge. I think that's what our company is also going to face, and we are okay with that because alhamdulillah, we have a strong team. Like let's say we want to go like Indonesia or Malaysia or Bangladesh, and a lot of the places like when it comes to building some kind of trading platform or investment platform where regular people can actually invest. But there's gonna be a lot more like we need to get license and licensing issues. Some of the countries they don't even have licenses yet, so need to work with regulators to create specific licenses actually to operate in those countries. And we don't see it as a challenge. Actually, we see it more as an opportunity where we can go and make a contribution in that and help that country in terms of actually raising people's standard of living, even like 0.01%. I feel like if we can help these countries in general or the people in these countries, actually we feel like we've done our job starting this journey. That's our goal. And here I want to talk about before we I want to make sure that we have the time. Okay, we still have half an hour, so we still have a lot of time. So again, as you guys can see, it's actually I was saying this one, work with the local governments to eliminate these investment obstacles. That's a big challenge. But alhamdulillah, when we started this company last year, it was just me and I got a friend, but now we got like 20 people joining because everybody's believing the vision we have. Our vision is to help Muslims around the world. We're not just saying it, we're actually doing it, alhamdulillah, because we have an academy which completely free for all the people around the world. We start like AmanaTrade, but now it's Musaffa Academy. We have over 250 blogs and everything. It's like we started to educate Muslims around the world and promoted the financial education. So if they have questions, a lot of people have so many questions. People come and ask a question like, I'm getting a student loan, is it okay? Or maybe I'm gonna buy a house, but it's gonna be a mortgage. So most of them actually, even though they're not strictly like related to stock market or investments in general, we do our best to answer. We have Shariah advisors, we have people actually who has degrees in Islamic finance and such as Awliya, and alhamdulillah, we're looking for more people to join us. So who can help us and create this kind of like platform, like our goal, our dream is actually creating this kind of like academy, or we can say like education platform where people all around the world, they can visit and if they have questions. So I think of it as a Google. Like for example, if you want to search something, you know, people just go to Google, says search for Google. Why? Because Google actually interesting because it came a word, right? It was a company, but now it says Google it. So why? Because people use it all the time, every day, millions of times. So we want to create this academy and we want to share a vision. So people, they need to come, and tomorrow if they have questions, they can come. And we also start the community, like we call it Musaffa community, where people can actually come and ask questions. And it's not just us who is going to answer the questions. So people with knowledgeable people can come to the platform and they can share their like knowledge to help the Muslims around the world. Actually, I think there's a noise coming, so it's okay. So again, we start our goal, inshallah, by next year, build the Sharia compliant trading platform. As you can say, this is a big hurdle, but this is a lot of opportunity. And as you guys can see, we are very passionate in what we do. And if you guys have like questions, we can take some questions. But so this is the last thing I want to talk. So interestingly, when we started building a trading platform, here's the thing: what happened? We want to get the data from different like parts sources, and we want to get the like data from like stock screeners. And we did so much research, and it's unbelievable that we couldn't find one single dependable, accurate platform where we can stock screen. But here's what's happening right now when it comes to stock screeners, right? For example, there are so many different ways, like methodologies, like that, and basically everyone's creating their own rules. And you know what? I'd like to compare to something interesting. When United States, like about 100, 150 years ago, like before they had one currency in the United States, every bank, almost every bank issued their own currency. And it was a nightmare because, you know, I get paid for my currency, then I need to go and try to pay someone else, but he wouldn't accept because he banks in a different bank. Everybody has their own currency. Now, what happened was it was standardized. There is one currency. It makes all the transactions so easy. So that's happening in actually, interestingly, in this market where they have different methodologies. And now we see that Malaysia has its own methodology. You can look at the Dow Jones has Standard & Poor's, MSCI, but you look at their differences. So everybody seems like creating their own methodologies because, and that's why AFI came up, right? So they came up, they said, we need to kind of standardize it. We need to make some kind of rule where actually all the countries, doesn't matter, they can follow the same rules to actually screen the stocks. So we actually, by working with the, well-known like Sharia advisors, we start developing our Sharia compliant stock screener. And we completely adhere to AFI because we looked at different ones and this is being promoted and we want to be part of it to actually promote this methodology. And it's much more conservative, and that's why we like it. Because if you look at different methodologies, for example, like You got S&P, MSCI, they say 33% of debt to market capitalization. We use 30%, for example. And I've seen that in Malaysia, some of them, they go like, let's say, non-Shariah compliant revenues up to some of the things they can allow up to 20% of revenue, but we stick to 5%. And we are much more stringent in that, again, following AFI rules. And alhamdulillah, we're doing a really good job because for every single stock, as I said, bringing the knowledge that actually we gained from like learning over years from traditional conventional finance to Islamic finance, I think this is very important, and this is a big, I think, helpful for Islamic finance in general. As I said, conventional finance is much more developed. Now we're talking about derivatives. There are derivatives inside derivatives, so it gets very complicated. But one of the reasons actually I really want to mention it, why actually I founded this company personally, and I got my friends actually or people join us in the vision, is I realized something. In traditional or conventional finance, everybody's competing to be the best, creating new developers. We have financial engineers developing new products. So basically trying to be on the top of the finance world. But when we looked at a little bit deeper into Islamic, like let's say Muslim countries, and we realized that actually I'd like to compare it to something very basic example, like analogy. So think about this way: you have a big tree and you have branches, you have leaves. And I feel like with the conventional finance and people, my co-workers, like again, dedicating their lives into the field, like finance as myself, like and reading actually is like books and stuff to be on top of the finance industry. We're trying to be like I feel like if you think about the tree and the branches and the leaves, we feel like we're just trying to tiptoe on the leaves because there's so much has been done. But in Islamic world, when we look at it, actually there is not even a tree. It's not even being planted yet. So I think it's a good comparison I came up myself, because now we decide to actually we need to go back and actually serve our community instead of actually trying to make more money or trying to dedicate our lives to conventional finance, traditional finance. We go back to Islamic finance. Actually, you know what? We can help it so much by implementing traditional finance, but taking the best part of it, taking the good part of it, right? Implementing Islamic finance. And one example I can tell you about the stock market. So the reason I keep talking about the stock market, because there's a really need for it. And when I attended the different conferences, once in a while I attend a conference like this, I see that a lot of Sharia compliant advisors, everybody's talking about Islamic banking. And I know the Islamic banking's been here since like 80s, a bit more than that. So, and it's been much more developed, compared to stock market. But my question, who benefits from that? Banks benefit. Who else benefits? People benefit as long as they get loans or they get maybe some kind of like, I would say loans, or they want to buy a house, maybe they benefit, but it's very limited. But how is it benefiting regular people? One thing, and I'm very passionate personally about this. There is a lot of companies coming up with Sharia compliant companies, but we decide to go a different route. Instead of telling people, give me your money, let me invest it for you, because you don't understand, it's too hard. And that's what a lot of people, unfortunately, even like Muslims, that's what they're doing. They're saying, okay, give me your money, I have a fund I'm opening, you don't question, I invested. Yeah, but I don't think that's the way. We need to democratize this financial education. We need to tell people, okay, you don't really need to actually be, you don't need to give your money to someone else. Of course, if you don't have the opportunity, if you don't have the time, that's a different story. But it can be learned. And I'm a big, actual fan of Warren Buffett myself when it comes to investments. And actually, I got the privileges of actually meeting with him and having lunch, alhamdulillah. So I read almost any books I could find about the guy and about investment methodology, like investment, like psychology. Even he says that the asset managers actually, it's like basically tossing a coin, whatever you get, them actually outperforming the market. So what I'm trying to say is like, instead of actually limiting to Islamic banking only, or in investment management, just to actually like people where they don't want people actually to learn, they want to get the money and they say, let me invest it for you. We want to democratize financial education. That's why we start the academy. That's why we start the community. And our goal is to, like, as much as we can, educate people financially. Even we start actually posts for one example we call investment series. And we started it because somebody goes to, like, wants to invest in the market, and they need to know like basic like terms, like starting with like P ratio, what's P ratio, what's cash flow, what's like debt to equity ratio, why you need it. It's going to take time. It's going to probably take years for actually this one get to reach the people. But again, how do we know if we don't help out the people? And I want to think about maybe one kid right now, one child, maybe in Bangladesh somewhere, maybe working hard right now, trying to make $1-2 a day. Maybe, who knows, maybe they're the next Warren Buffett, but how are they going to get there if they don't know, if they don't have access at all? So I feel like we should reach our obligation actually to give them at least the access to this kind of education. Maybe they're gonna catch it and do more deeper research, and maybe they become like the one of the more successful people who can actually in the long run help Muslim Ummah. So that's why we started, and we believe in what we do. Alhamdulillah, in a year we had over 10,000 followers on Facebook. People love it. Why? Because we are sharing what we know, and we don't mind doing that. So I think as most companies, and of course, like all the companies, they want to make a profit, and but the goal is like, that's what I tell like everybody in our team, in our company, right? So we need to give access financial education to like literally 100,000 millions of people, as much as we can reach. Even if we make like money from 5%, 10% of that, let 90% come and learn knowledge, and let them actually learn how to invest and learn how to be more successful. Because at the end of the day, no matter who says what, a lot of things in the family becomes to money. The problem is going to become money. Because if you're a doctor, you still need to pay rent. Or if you're a doctor, you still need to pay expenses. If you're if you're a teacher, you still need money actually to pay the bills. So if you think about it, almost everybody's life is affected somehow with money, even if they want it or not. So our goal is to help them actually, work less. Actually, like when I say work, I mean like labor, manual labor. Think about how we can actually take some part of it, make their lives easier, and actually investing money. As I was telling, for example, look at the implications. As I was telling, like one parents, they want to send their children to school in like I was saying, 5 years, they start making money. So instead of think about it this way, they can work and make $3,000 over 5 years. They can invest successfully. They make $5,000 in 5 years, but that 2 years that they had to work really hard, they could still spend with their family, and they could have a better quality of life instead of working day and night trying to make money. And that's what I see. Unfortunately, that's what I see, like a lot of things happening, and especially like living in the United States, for example. When I'm talking from like passionately, because I'm being a Muslim myself. I see a lot of Muslims, they come and they get I look at a lot of Muslims. I lived in different states, different parts, but I see similar picture in the United States, for example. Muslims, they come and they work really hard jobs, and most of them not educated, and they buy the houses from very, very bad neighborhoods, most of them. And we want to buy a house there, but there is more crime, and there's less education. The schools are really bad, and they try to, because why? They feel like they cannot afford it. They feel like they cannot afford to live in a better place within the state, for example. So it doesn't have to be the case. So, but if you look at different people, like with more education, and then if they learn how to actually improve their life somehow, and they could have a better life, quality of life. The children's going to be educated properly. They're going to have a better education, better like future. That's why we started this company. Actually, as I was saying, our goal is not to change everything, right? It's going to be almost impossible. But as I was saying, if we can contribute even 0.0001% in somebody's life, I think we did the incredible job. And that's why we start our mission, helping and democratizing education. And so far, we're working like around the world. Alhamdulillah, as I was saying, in a year, we have people from US, from Canada, now from Indonesia, Malaysia, from Uzbekistan. Now we have somebody joining from India. Alhamdulillah, in less than a year, we grew to be 20 people. Why? Everybody's believing in the mission and the vision. So that's the first question we ask, why you want to join us? Because I want to help the Muslims around the world actually be much more gain financial independence. So anyway, so as I was saying, we start from stock screener. We do have this one. Actually, it's you can join for free. We're not actually monetizing yet. So the goal again, come back to the company. So of course, I want to talk about again. I'm not trying to promote the company. We are doing it already on the Facebook everywhere. But I'm going to talk about why we do what we do. So we are inshallah building a trading platform, and that's our goal. And as I was saying, I have a really great experience building trading platforms for one of the biggest banks in the US for the past 7 years. I worked we built like so many different trading platforms from scratch, from zero. And I personally have also analyzing companies, going through reports, gain knowledge from working for a hedge fund. So the things when we start, as I was saying, when we started building this platform, but we had to get the data. We couldn't find a single data provider in the world, not a single one that actually did a good job. So we got the reports from different companies who actually screened the stocks, and they were incredibly bad. They were not even going too deeper. They just go to balance sheet. They will just look at the one line item, short-term loan. That's it. They collect. But we collect every single item. We're gonna look is the Shariah compliant or not. And there are literally hundreds of different line items on the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. So we started this one. Alhamdulillah, we have around right now from 9 different countries. We got almost 4,000 people sign up on the platform. They're using for free. And now we're including inshallah UK, and we have Indonesia 100% covered, Malaysia 100% covered, alhamdulillah. And we have also United States we are working on right now, and then we're including UK, Canada, and then Singapore, where people are more likely to actually use the trading platform. So one interesting point, as you guys can see here, very interesting point. If you look at the screen, you see a 0.5 in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the point being that a lot of even different companies, what they do, they just say it's Shariah compliant or not. They don't even give you the reason. What we're doing, we are taking these companies, we're analyzing in depth, and then once you find that they're Shariah compliant, we put them in Shariah, let's say Shariah compliant a universe. It's like a bucket. Think about it this way. So we collect all the Shariah compliant companies, and then based on their financials, we sort them to 1 to 5. 5 being the most compliant. You get 5 score, basically your top 20% of most Shariah compliant companies, all in that universe. So whenever you see 5, let's say we have a Muslims that they are more concerned about investing. Even some Muslims, they can debate that, okay, you know what, it's not 100% halal, or it's not, I don't want to invest in it. Well, that's one option. But with the current finance and with the current financial system around the world, unfortunately, we're living in an age, almost any single company you can think of, they are kind of tainted somehow with the riba, even if willingly or unwillingly. If they need a loan, they need to pay riba. If they need to take a loan, only a little bit exception, I would say Malaysia, because based on the research we did, literally we analyzed 930 companies around that. And Malaysia is much more developed, but there's still a long way to go. Even Malaysia being, let's say, one of the places where Islamic finance much more developed around the world, like Malaysia being one of the top, 35% only passed it, our screener. Even the United States, we got more than that. Why? Because again, interest in riba. Even though there's some skook or different products, actually, they're trying to come in the picture, which is a great thing. And our long-term goal, let's say being a screener, most accurate screen in the world, that's what our goal. And I think we have the knowledge to do that. But being that one day our goal is to help companies responsible of what they do, how they do the finance. For example, I was amazed when we started actually getting to know Malaysia because of the Islamic financial institutions much more developed. Now companies are kind of forced to actually go that way. I realized by going through the reports, we realized that instead of they buying like they take notes, but like midterm notes, for example, like, but it's Sharia compliant. So they're trying to Sharia compliant even in their transactions. And it's amazing because we didn't see the similar thing in Indonesia. Indonesia, they don't really care that much yet. In United States, you don't have anything about Sharia compliant. But maybe over time, we are hoping that inshallah, by working hard and becoming like industry standard, and we hope that the company is gonna feel like, okay, if we want Muslims to invest in our company, which they're gonna check from Musaffa, for example, we need to stay like Sharia compliant if you want investment from Muslims. So that's our goal, like kind of like monitoring this one. This is what's happening. If you look at Bloomberg here, they became like one of the best like in the world, like financial news company, right? So our goal is to actually, with our screener, our goal is much more than that. We want to help companies responsible around the world, actually how they transact and move the investors' money in that flow, so we can just so they can start like transacting with more Sharia compliant like securities, right? So that's our actually the goal. But interesting part, again, we're creating this platform right now, and inshallah we are starting after New Year. We're going to be working on getting a license to actually creating an ETFs and selling the ETFs on the platform, which is going to be based on our own actual screener, based on the products of our screener. So that's why we started. I think it's a good way to go because we see there's a tremendous interest around the world of what we do, because a lot of people they want to be in there, but they're not sure. And as we know that whenever it's said there's something suspicious, stay out of it. And we are here actually to help people like, okay, if there's suspicion, you can remove the suspicion by knowledge, by learning actually what's allowed or not. If we Muslims around the world saying that, okay, if anything is riba touch, okay, I'm not gonna touch it. Unfortunately, yes, that's an option, but in the long run, it's gonna hurt society a lot more worse, because again, you're gonna fall financially behind. When you do that, you're gonna be educationally behind. And then once you're educationally, it's gonna be jahala. In the long term, I personally feel like it's gonna harm more than benefit the society. So even like, as you guys know, like let's say one company engaged in a perfectly, really good core operations, like great. Maybe they sell shoes or shirt. They don't do anything like, but unfortunately, there's maybe 1 or 2% somehow they engage in riba, for example. Of course, there's based on the Sharia advisors around the world, they come up with a solution about purification, right? So that 1%, you don't get to keep it even if you invest it. That 1% has to go with the purification, right? So in that case, actually, you're purifying your investment. At the same time, you don't keep the haram part or not halal part, and then you're gonna give it back to society. So they can actually, by purifying that, I think it was like some kind of solution, but we agree that that's a better solution than just staying completely out of it, which is gonna be worse. Again, this finance affects everybody's lives. Especially we are really worried about the education part, and that's what we are here, educating people, teaching them as much as we can, or bringing the people around the world to teach themselves. So create a platform where, like for example, some person is very knowledgeable in financial Islamic finance and is very passionate. Let them come share their passion through our academy, through our community, where they can, Muslims can help each other through one common platform. So okay, anyway, if you guys have questions, I'd like to take them. We talked about the passion, why we started the company. So I think we're almost an hour, which is great. I didn't think we were going to last that long, but alhamdulillah. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dilshod, for the brilliant talk. We have one question here, which is typed in the chat window.
Sure.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. This is from Fathi Rabani. Which one should we prioritize between stocks and cryptocurrency? Okay.
That's a good question. We don't deal with the cryptocurrencies yet. it's something that actually takes some time to learn. And in my professional life, the cryptocurrency is relatively new. But the only thing that I do not agree with most cryptos, again, because a lot of people, they invest not knowing what they invest. That's the problem. And I think that's also like being Shariah compliant is very important. Every investment that you make has to be asset-based. Asset-based. That's why the derivatives are prohibited. When you say asset-based, what does it mean? If you invest in a stock, what are you doing? You are actually buying a part of the company. It doesn't matter. So you just need to make sure the company is actually Shariah compliant or it's doing good for society. So you know exactly what you're buying. You're buying this company, you know the headquarters, you know the CEO, you know the people, you know the product, you know exactly what you're getting into. That's called asset-based. And knowing that you're taking a risk, willing to lose your money if something doesn't work out, which is that's one of the conditions of being Shariah compliant. That's why you cannot invest in bonds, because bonds basically are getting an interest. And then your principal that the money you actually loan out, it's guaranteed. So they're gonna say, I guarantee your money back, so you don't have a risk. You just make the money, you just make the interest. Where is the interest coming from? If you get a loan to the, let's say you got a loan from the bank, you're gonna loan out to, they're gonna charge interest for other people, and then they're gonna keep the profit, they're gonna give it back. Why am I coming to that? So when it comes to cryptocurrency, it's good, but do you know what kind of asset is it based on? So right now, we are actually thinking about this one. We have a goal, inshallah, one day creating this crypto, but it has to be Shariah compliant asset based. So the question is a very good question, and it's actually I was talking to Musaffa, and he gets this question the most, and they're working really hard to figure it out. Actually, is it asset based or not? When you talk to people, whoever buys crypto, I don't care who, if you ask them, you know what exactly you're buying? I can tell you 99% they don't know what they're buying. They know it's supposed to go up. I heard that, my friend told me. But it's a speculation. When it's a speculation, it's not allowed in Islam, right? Yes. So you have to know what exactly you're buying and what you're getting into. And all the cryptos right now, as far as I know, they're trying to create like Islamic cryptos, or if it's maybe gold-based or something. So first thing we need to look at, is it based on some kind of asset, or is it based on people's like emotions or speculation? So right now, I couldn't find, being in the finance industry myself, I couldn't find a single person who can explain me one. Can you open a Bitcoin and explain to me detail, like how is it actually formed and everything? They say, oh, it's a public ledger, blah, blah. Yeah, but can you explain me exactly how people make money? So I think in the long run, I think it's valid. I believe in cryptocurrency is going to work out in the long run. But again, it's being Shariah compliant or not, it's still being worked out, because as I said, I've talked to Musaffa, which is very knowledgeable in this area, and he got the website, so many articles about the cryptos and everything. So my answer would be, even the stocks, you need to do some research, find out what you're getting into. If you don't know what you're buying, it's a speculating. Even if it's a Shariah compliant, right? So you need to know exactly what you're buying. At least you need to know the company, you need to know the product, what you're buying. So as long as you don't know what you're buying, I think it's just, for me, it's a pure speculation. I would stay away from it. So for now, of course, there's going to be, inshallah, there's going to be time, there's going to be cryptocurrencies. I believe in it. I believe in its future. Inshallah, there's going to be asset-based Islamic cryptos are coming out. A little bit people are working on with Shariah advisors, but I haven't seen one yet that's really good, but inshallah, it's going to happen soon.
All right, thank you. We have another two questions from Muhammad Nazmi. I think the first question has been answered hopefully by you. The first question, your personal views on cryptocurrency in the short and also the long term. And the second question, which one is actually bringing a bigger impact towards society, owning a business or investing in a business? Okay, so for the first one, I can ask for, I believe in its future again, but again, right now, as far as I know, the cryptos actually, there's a lot of people, as Musaffa was saying, like almost everybody asks a question about the cryptocurrency these days.
Guys, you guys need to know it's a currency. It's a currency. Crypto means just an electronic, like transferring currency. I don't know why people are so obsessed about it. The problem, they're obsessed because speculation is going up and up and up and up and up, and people want to, they call it like, they have this like fear of losing out. So that's why everybody wants to jump in. They saw Bitcoin going 1,000 to 60,000. Oh, if I invest in 1,000, I will have 60,000 right now. Yeah, but again, it's like a lottery in a way. But yeah. I believe in its future. Yes, I think it's valid because, you know, the one of the attractions of cryptocurrency is not regulated, and the governments cannot regulate it. And that's why it's so attractive. Because right now, think about it this way, it could be United States, it could be any country. If you do something that you don't like, and then the government can freeze your money right away. So you don't have access to your funds. That's why it's becoming much more popular around, especially around the people who don't want government to oversee their like transactions, stuff like that. That's one of the most attractive part of it, because again, it's in the cloud, you know, there's no actually regulation yet, something like that. So that's why it's currency, but it's a currency. It is a currency. It's a form of payment. It's not an asset itself, like generating that some kind of revenue. So for example, any business you invest, you know, think about this, a very basic formula. Any business makes a revenue, sales, and then pays out the expenses to employees and cost of goods sold, whatever. And then they make a profit, they pay tax, and they're gonna have a net profit. That profit is yours, and you know exactly what's happening. But cryptocurrency is a form of currency. It doesn't produce income like that. So we need to realize that. Gold is just a commodity. Unless it's a gold mine, gold itself doesn't produce income. So we need to think about, okay, if I invest in it, how does it produce income? So if you can tell me, does the cryptocurrency pay dividends, or do they pay some kind of like maybe let's say profit from sales or from operations? No, they don't have it. That's what we need to realize. Cryptocurrency says currency, and I don't think regular people should be in the business of buying and selling currency, because it's done between the countries. Like, why do currencies exist? Why exchange exists? So you have this one country producing something. Let's say they produce car. Second country producing, for example, like shirts. Okay, they want to exchange it. That's when the exchange. That's when the currency becomes handy, especially international like transactions. But for regular people, as long as they have a currency, what is their business in transacting like cryptocurrencies? That's why I don't still like being in finance so long. I can still figure out the only thing that people are really interested in cryptocurrency, because it keeps going up, because people buying, and we don't know where it's going to end up. So one day maybe there's going to be like big crash and it goes down because everybody finds out there's nothing behind it. But if you want to just follow the ride, and then yeah, it's exciting. You buy it, you make money. You buy it, you make money. But nobody really thinks about what happens if it goes down so crazy. You're going to lose everything you have. So that's the problem with the currencies. Again, I'm not saying it has a future. I believe because it's digital, there is a need for it, and it eliminates a lot of like paperwork, eliminates the regulations, and this is so much attractive. But again, it's a currency. It doesn't produce income. That's what the problem coming with the being a Shariah compliant or not. They're talking about it again, but they keep forgetting it's just a currency. So when you, a second question, when it comes to your question, again, opening a business and investing in the stock market, very brilliant question. And I really want to address that. Why stock market exists? Look at around the world. Anywhere there is a trust between the people, trust to rules and regulations, to law. If the law works, any country, if there's a trust in the government, trust in the people, that countries are almost all of them developed. I read a book about Francisco Fukuyama, a really good book called Trust. If you look at it, if you look at Europe, for example, just take it at Europe. If you look at the North countries like Sweden, Finland, Denmark, England, and compared to like southern countries like Italy, Greece, Spain, you can tell by looking at these companies which one's much more developed. Look at like Switzerland, they have Nestle, for example, right? And it's also big in Malaysia. It's like over 100 billion valuations. Only 5 million people live there. Only 5 million, but they got world's biggest food company. Why? Because they have trust among each other. They believe in the government. They believe in the rules, and everybody knows they follow the rules. So what am I saying? That look at the southern countries like Italy. You see big corporations. You got Lamborghini. You got someone maybe like people make shoes, and let's say they have nice like design things, but you don't have big corporations for them. Then why? Again, they're family business country. They don't trust outside. They don't tend to trust outside the family. So my question comes to that. Okay, opening a small business is good if you have the skill, if you have the talent, if you have the tenacity, if you can, it's good. If you want to run your life like that. But how many percent of people in the world can open business? Let's think realistically. I'm talking about the bigger scale. I'm not thinking small. I'm thinking a bigger scale. But anybody can invest in stock market. What's beautiful at stock market, you guys need to realize what it is. If you know that actually what stock market, what's behind it, it's beautiful idea. And that's what Western countries actually grabbed it like 200-300 years ago. That's why they're the one most developed. What it is, I'll give you super simple example what the stock market is. Super simple. So let's think. I know you got a really good question. So think about this way. I have a $1,000, and I love teaching, for example. But I'm not a businessman. But I want to make more money. As I said, that doesn't matter what profession you are in the world. Everybody needs money. Somehow they need the money. Even they're not interested in the money, they need the money. So think about this way. You're a teacher, you have $1,000. And some other guy's a dentist. He got $1,000. And the other guy, maybe he does something, maybe he's a driver, $1,000. So everybody's like 1,000. Think about 10 people, they have $1,000. They need to make money, but they're not businessmen. You know, teaching, that person wants to teach, doesn't want to like open a shop, open a business. So these 10 people, all they need to come together. They say, let's come together, 10 people, they talk. You know what? We have $10,000. So if you put together, we can get 10%, right? So $1,000 each, $10,000. Let's take this money and let's open some kind of business, but let's find somebody who's better than us to manage it. We're just gonna oversee that person. So they bring an outside manager and you say, okay, we want to open a restaurant, for example, right? So we want to open, but we want to oversee you, but you're the best cook in the city. So here's your salary. Let's do the business. We're just going to oversee every month. We're going to come back and see what's going on. So, but you can also fire the person if he doesn't perform better. And then restaurant operates, everybody gets 10%, and everybody doing their own jobs. And really good dentists is doing dentistry, like, you know, they don't need to get in the restaurant business. So after like the company that the restaurant makes money, let's say the company makes like $2,000 profit. So everybody gets $200 profit. That's a corporation. That's a stock market to you. That's a very basic concept. If you understand this one, people can go with their own lives. People can teach whatever, the other can do dentistry, other can do driving. They don't need to worry about opening a restaurant, or it could be a beauty shop. It could be anything. The matter, I'm just giving an example. The matter is that money has to be put in use. Unfortunately, in a lot of countries, they just keep saving it under the mattress. Some countries, they don't even believe in the banks. They say, oh, I give the bank, I'm not gonna give my money back. So the problem is that it's deep-rooted trust issue among people, among governments. So of course, it won't happen in one day. That's why we need to realize that trust is the factor. That 10 people getting together, putting the money, $10,000 in one place, that takes trust. But if it's done properly with the paperwork, if the laws work, but think about it, $200 you made, instead that your money, that one could stay under mattress like $1,000, not change a dime. But you make maybe $200 a year. In 5 years, you're gonna get your money back. You can double your money in 5 years, basically. $1,000 investment can go, even actually, I'm not even taking into account accrual, like, you know. So that's your answer. So the answer is like, again, not everybody can do business. Not everybody has the skill to do it, but almost everybody has skill to invest. But they need to find the right person and the hire. But again, yes, we are doing this a big investment platform. We have a big vision, but again, not everybody has the skill to do analyzing companies or investing themselves. That's fine. In that case, you can give your money to someone else who can manage, like they call money managers, and you can give some kind of fee. But majority of the people, they need to be educated. At least they need to know what this stock market is. That's why I'm saying, like, getting a share. For example, I was telling you 10 people put in $1,000 each, $10,000. When they put, that's a capital. When they get $200 each one out, that's a dividend. That's what dividends called, like distribution from profit. Okay, so that's a stock market for you. And right now, what we're doing, we try to teach people in a very, very little words. This is what it is, and we are trying to help them invest in actual big companies. The bigger the companies, believe me, the more stable it is. Why? Because you need to trust. I was giving you an example, like the 10 people get $1,000 each. They open a restaurant, they hire a cook. But who has time to go and sit on top of the cook every day, exactly seeing what, maybe he's not stealing anything or cooking something. You don't have to do it with the corporations, because the bigger the corporation is, believe me, there are people do that all the time. They have full-time people, full-time jobs. They go oversee the management, making sure they don't move any wrong move. And that's why you can, like the more developed countries, for example, look at Apple, for example, $2 trillion market value, mind-boggling, $2 trillion. I mean, it's twice the GDP of Indonesia. So if you think about it this way, Apple can feed every single person in Indonesia for 2 years if nobody does anything. It's one company is doing that. Why? I mean, they hire the best people to do the job. They hire the best people, and they got really good investors watching it overnight. Big investment institutions, they go, they analyze every single thing that Apple does. Believe me, the CEO or whoever works at Apple, they cannot even move because they cannot do anything improper, literally. Everybody's watching them because it's a big company. So the bigger the company gets, the less risk it gets in terms of their like wrongdoings. Of course, that's why the small cap companies, if you want to invest in smaller companies, very, very small companies, it's a lot more riskier because you don't know what the management is doing. But that's some other story. Okay.
All right. Okay, so we move to the next question. There are a lot of questions here.
Sure.
This question is from Dr. Muhammad Nizam Barung.
Sure.
Assalamualaikum, Mr. Dilshod. Can you elaborate briefly your screening parameters? How will be the Sharia-approved companies be categorized into the 5 levels of Sharia compliance?
Beautiful question.
Yes.
Beautiful question. Okay, here's the thing. What we're doing 1 to 5, I haven't seen anybody in the world do it yet. I haven't seen. We did research. Why are we doing this one? Again, it's coming from the needs of the people. And so here's what we're doing right now for this product. We are developing, again, we are sticking to AFI standards. There's like 5 methodologies used globally, but we want to stick to 1. And I don't think, as I was saying, not everybody should keep making up their own rules. And it's going to just confuse the people. It's going to confuse the people. I don't think it's a good, I think there is one, alhamdulillah, one Quran, one Sunnah. So there should be one global, some kind of like standard. That's why you have IFRS, International Financial System, right, for accounting. So you don't need the 10 different of them. So that's why AFI, the reason we're going that, a lot of banks are using AFI, a lot of screening methodology, they're moving to AFI. I know that Malaysia has their own screening, which is amazing. When I looked up the Malaysian screening from their commission, I guess, like I found online, 79% passed it. In ours, only 35% pass. You can pass it any way you want it if you come up with your own methodology. You just loosen the limits and stuff like that. But again, who are we trying to lie, right? So 79% of they're not Sharia compliant. And let's talk about methodologies. We are using AFI because, again, this is the most, I think, like compared to other ones, that most made sense financially and common sense, everything. It made more sense. For example, one of them, they use like total assets. We use for 3-year trailing 36 average market cap, for example. And there's a specific very good reason to do that. I can explain that. Okay, so we go with the 3 different like criteria that AFI has. So screen methodology. First one about revenues. We look at the revenues and we dig deeper. I mean, we really go financial reports, we go annual reports, and everything we can dig it out and find out the source of the revenue. So, for example, some companies, for example, I can give you one example, Clorox. Clorox is a big company, US company. And some screening methodology, they just pass it as, okay, it's halal, it's Shariah compliant, pass, because Clorox, they make detergents. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you dig deeper into the revenue breakdown, you will find out actually they make vitamins. And on the website, when you look at the dig deeper on the website, they say they add pork products in the vitamins. That's one thing. And they also make like salad dressings. Again, this is a company that makes detergents. So they have they own a business that makes salad dressing, and then they put bacon in it, for example. So in that kind of question, like we don't know exactly what portion of the revenue is coming from that source. So we're gonna tell people, we're gonna give exact proof what they're doing, and we're gonna tell them avoid the stock. You know, that's our recommendation. Like I think, actually avoid the stock because of this and this. But some platforms, they just look at the revenue, products, they pass it. But the rule is like up to 5% based on FI standards. If it's come from non-Sharia or not halal sources, you can still invest. But again, it has to go through purification, and as we know it. So why they didn't put the 0 or 1%? They could have done that. Then the pool is already 35% of companies in general in Malaysia, Indonesia, around the 35%. They pass it with this rule. If they reduced it from 5% to 1%, believe me, there won't be any. I would say, on top of my head, like the Shariah compliant stock is gonna go 5% for 35%. So they're trying to play safe, but at the same time, they don't want Muslims to miss out from the advancement of global growth in the economy. Because if we're just gonna be very strict, if they're gonna be, not us, but if they're gonna be very strict again, it's gonna eliminate the pool, and people cannot invest in stocks at all. Because every single company, as we know, almost every single company is tainted with interest somehow, even paying interest or receiving interest. So we gotta be careful. So that's why I put the 5% limit. And then I see some rules. I didn't get into much in Malaysia. They got 10% rule, 20% rule based on the revenue, but we stick to 5% no matter what. The first condition. Second one, cash or interest-bearing securities. It should not surpass, it should not exceed 30% of the market cap. 30% market cap. So I have these formulas, but maybe I should have put on my slide, but I'll tell you, it should not exceed the 30% of the market cap. Why? A lot of companies, they have cash, they hold cash. And then what they do, even not cash, they have like, for example, they give out some kind of loan, or they could have some kind of asset that's making some kind of interest. So basically the goal is like, it should not pass 30% of the market capitalization. And what do we know about market capitalization? It's basically you take the shares outstanding, multiplied by the current price of the company stock, it gives you a market cap. But market cap changes every second, right, during trading hours. So we use the average market cap for the past 3 years. Why do we take average? That's a good question. Because unfortunately, some stocks, they get just beat up for no reason in the short run, or they go down for no big reason based on people's emotions. And some stock can go from not halal to halal just because people build up the stock price in a very short term, right? In a month or maybe in 2 months. So we take the average 3 years, and which is going to be biased towards more stable companies growing steadily. So that's what we take. And the third one is interest-bearing securities. So people, companies, they take loans and they pay interest on it. That should not also exceed 30% of the market capitalization. Why? Because investing in a heavily burdened, like debt burdened companies is not allowed in Sharia. Because of they engage so much in interest. All the money, again, it's going to kill the purpose of paying interest, because as we know, you're not allowed to pay interest or receive interest. So when you pay your interest, for example, think about it. We've seen so many companies, they have so much debt, all the money they make go into interest expense. So basically the company and the people who are working it, and there's the employees, there's shareholders' money, right? I was talking. So all the money in the main is going to go to someone because they have so much debt. That's why we eliminate the debt level, debt if it's past 30%. And the last point is going to come to 1 to 5 scores. That's what we came up with because I think it's extremely important. But just saying Sharia compliant is not going to cut it. Okay? How Sharia compliant? If I buy the stock right now, let's say we have the numbers. Remember, we have the rules and we have the numbers, right? So 0%, for example, interest-bearing security could be 0, could be 30, could be 29.99. They all pass the filter as long as it's less than 30. But the problem is this. Okay, how compliant is this company? So what we do, let's say we develop the system. Let's say we analyze 3,000 companies and only 1,000 Sharia compliant, so 33%. So what we do, we came up with a system. We take this 1,000 companies Sharia compliant, we sort them based on their Sharia compliance 1 to 1,000. And then first 200 companies or 20%, they're gonna get score of 5 because they are the most Sharia compliant stocks. And then goes all the way to 1. 1 is the one that barely passed all the different criteria. So they can go not Sharia compliant anytime. So tomorrow when investors invest, they can go say, okay, I'm going to invest only 4 and 5 because these are the most Sharia compliant stocks that's following Sharia rules, willingly or unwillingly. Because in the United States, you can get 5 or 4 and 5. Some companies, they don't follow Sharia standard, but what they actually doing, they're practicing actually Sharia compliant, right? Even though it's not a Muslim country, Muslim company, right? So it could get 5 or 4 and 5. For example, Tesla is getting a 5 right now. It's amazing. Because when we analyze this one, we analyze it, they don't have much debt, they don't have much interest-bearing debt or cash, and then it's going, even though it went up a lot in the past year, but we see steady growth for the past 2 years. And they make cars. So that's what 1 to 5 means. Being Sharia compliant, we sort them to 1 to 5, 5 being the most Sharia compliant and 1 being the least. So we recommend like people stick to 3 to 5 if they don't want to risk investing in something can go non-Sharia compliant anytime, right? Does it make sense?
Yeah. Right. We have 2 more questions. One question is from Sharif Abu Sufyan. This is about cryptocurrency, very famous question. Okay, is there any known asset-backed cryptocurrency?
There might be. Again, we're not engaging cryptocurrency right now. Again, so this is something needs to do more research. So I've known a couple of them they're developing when I talked to Mufti Faraz, but on top of my head, I don't know any single one that's 100% Sharia compliant.
All right.
But I know that in the industry there's a movement. Inshallah, we also believe we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But that question probably should be answered maybe like someone like Mufti Faraz or somebody with much more knowledge in that arena. All
right. Okay, so again, another question on cryptocurrency from Ryan Qadri. The Indonesian Ulama Council, a top body of Islamic scholars, said cryptocurrencies as a mean of payment and a commodity to trade is unlawful for Muslims in that country that has the world's largest Muslim population. As we believe in the future of digital currencies, do you think this ruling could affect Muslims' future financial decisions in the country or around the world who follow the council, even though the council has no legal power?
So let me get the question right. So you said in Indonesia, they said it's not okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
As I was saying, it's a form of payment. That's why it's amazing why people are so much obsessed about this cryptocurrency. It's just a form of payment. Instead of paper, it's a digital payment. That's all there is. But why they're obsessed again, if they don't, especially if they don't understand exactly what it is. So I'm trying to get your question right. I think I didn't get 100% what your exact question was. Can you repeat one more time?
Maybe Ryan Qadri can speak up.
Yes,
Ryan,
please.
Ryan, please. Ryan, can you unmute yourself and then speak up about this?
Yes, I just wanted to ask that this ruling that the Ulama Council has made, do you think the Muslims in future this would affect the Muslim future financial decision in cryptocurrency around the world or in the country, which has the most Muslim population right now?
Yeah, of course. Like if Muslims, they want to know where they're gonna look for help, right? They're gonna look at ulama. They're gonna look at the financial advisors, Islamic financial advisors. And again, the reason they said most likely it's not asset based. The most cryptos, as far as I know, what does asset based means? It's also my personal belief. If you don't know what you're investing, it's a speculation, nothing else. And that's what I believe in. And when you say that it's going to affect the Muslim decision, the thing is this: you have different Sharia advisors saying different things. That's why we need some kind of consistency. I know it's going to be hard because this is a new financial product recently, but now we're just trying to figure out, okay, what's going on. If you look at Islamic banking, right, it has a history of 30, 40 years. So it's been there for a long time. So people, ulama, they have time to figure out how it works. But cryptos is relatively new. So you're going to see a lot of contradicting things, because you're going to see some Sharia advisors around the world, they say it's halal, some of them not halal, and they try to justify the reasoning. But the question for every single investor, do you know what you're buying? Can you explain how to produce income for you? Because if you really think about it, any investment should produce some kind of income, and you should know the source of the income. That's one of the reasons they say no, because again, this is a digital, this is actually people bidding up the price. But if you ask any person, can you sit down and break down the cryptocurrency, exactly how it works? And I haven't seen any person who can exactly answer that yet. I mean, that's why the valuations go up on a high, and people want to, I understand, people want to make money, they want to get in, invest $1,000, next day they wake up, it's $3,000, you know? Oh, I'm smart, I make $2,000, okay? If you explain the person, what's the probability of that going up or going down? So they could feel the same way if it went down to $2,000 the next day, right? So it doesn't make the person smart or anything like that. It's just, you just following tide and you're gambling, you make, you know, it's like throwing actually throwing a dice and trying to predict how it's going to turn out. So that's why one of the reasons, based on my own research too, because they cannot prove that it's asset based. That's why they do that. That's the main reason they say it's not allowed. And I agree with them personally. As if you cannot prove how it's making, is it producing income for you? I mean, think about it this way, like from Sharia perspective, you guys, most of you guys are really like maybe expert in this area. What's the purpose of actually making money, or what's the purpose of the investing? It has to benefit society for positive, right? If you invest in a company, if you open a business, invest in company, it's making other people's life easier somehow. It's benefiting society. But how does your cryptocurrency trading is actually doing that? Again, I would say, again, it needs to be researched more. I'm not really expert in cryptocurrency myself yet, but we have an idea, alhamdulillah, we have an idea to create Islamic way, and we know, inshallah, how to do it. It's just, inshallah, we are thinking, we have this vision, and we can make it 100% asset based. It's just the one concern, like how we're gonna make it global, how we're gonna bend this or go through different countries, because the thing is, like, countries, they can ban anytime they want. China can come and say no cryptocurrency today. They wake up and everything is limited. That's the only restriction, but it can be asset based, but it won't be like currency. It will be crypto, but not the currency. Because crypto means digital, right? You can have a digital, like, let's say instead of buying one share of the company, you can buy a share around the global companies or Sharia compliant companies with one shot. And you can call it crypto, digital, like investment. But currency part is just really strikes me. Why people are obsessed with the currency so much? I don't understand. I still don't understand. Just because it's speculation going up and down, That's why you see a lot of questions about the cryptos, but you don't see that many about stocks.
So,
yeah.
Here, Dr. Nizam has another question also. Thanks for your response. Is there any plan to incorporate social, ethical, and environmental parameters in the screening? Example,
Yes.
some Sharia-approved companies may have bad environmental or labor relations records.
Beautiful question. Yeah, as long as we stay away from a little bit crypto, like I should be able to answer most questions. Yes, yes. ECG is popular in the US. It's growing faster. Actually, we are somehow implementing in our screening. They call it ethical investing in the US, or they call it ECG or SRI, which is like social responsible investing, and ethical investing, ECG, environmental social responsible companies, and socially and governmentally. And we have Shariah. So we have and there's a big overlap. I mean, there's a good amount of overlap between them. But for example, ECG, they don't care if it's pork, you can invest in it, right? Or ethical investing, they call it, maybe they're going to take in the corporation activities, like if they're doing anything unethical, right? So what we are doing with our screening, we are being more conservative right now because it gives us leeway where we can actually decide. So what we're going to do with this? So what we are doing right now in our platform, we are kind of incorporating that also. So let's say you have a Sharia compliant, not Sharia compliant, and some companies, for example, I'll give you one good example. There's a company, I don't remember the name, I think it was in Malaysia. So they make a card box. That's what they do. They print boxes for a tobacco company. That's all they do. So if you really think about it, tobacco is not allowed, right? So it's like we don't allow, we fail as tobacco companies, but they're not making tobacco, they're making cigarette, they're making a carton, they're making a box for it, but specifically making for the company. So now question comes, what they do is not, you cannot say it's not Sharia compliant because they just make box, but if you think it, they're contributing to the cigarette, right? So in that case, we put them under questionable. And we're gonna say it's avoid because that's what they do, avoid this one. There's no specific 100% prohibition of what they do, but actually what they do is contributing something bad. So we are taking that ECG into consideration, and we're gonna tell them avoid because of this. For example, a company uses child labor, right? And they make money. Okay, that's gonna go on the filter. It's gonna go avoid. And inshallah, after the release, after maybe like couple 2-3 months, we are releasing for every single stock. We're gonna have a proof. Like when you go right now, you can see screener. So when there's a full report, when you click it, it's gonna be the most comprehensive, inshallah, you ever seen. It's gonna break down the revenues to the point. It's gonna tell you questionable part of it, why it's questionable. It's gonna break down every financials, inshallah, for every single company. Our goal is to do it globally one day, completely cover all companies around the world, and every single company we're gonna get the most transparent report. Again, your question, there are a couple more things. I've seen some companies, they say, well, we are ethical companies, or we are ECG, or we are, these are basically, if you really think, these are all marketing terms. They're gonna call it SRI, they call it ECG, they call it ethical investing. You know what, when we decided to start this company, we had a dilemma. Either we had to be true to ourselves and be proud of being Muslim and go directly to the source and tell them, that's why on a platform you're going to see the words called inshallah, mashallah. We use that even being in the US located. Why? Because we don't want to be politically correct and call ethical investing or ECG or SRI. Instead, we are saying, if it's Sharia compliant, we're going to go with the halal Sharia compliant. We have enough people to serve, inshallah. We got 1.9 billion people. We don't need to be politically correct in the US or anywhere else. And when you talk about this ones, we are incorporating, again, I'm going to come back, ECG, we are incorporating, we take that into consideration in our stock screen, but we don't call it ECG, or we don't want to confuse people like ECG, SRI, ethical investing. Let's call it what it is, okay? It's a Sharia compliant, because all the ECGs and everything is included in this filter. Because why we want to say it differently, instead of being Sharia compliant, halal, stock screener. So you guys get the point. So it's included in our stock trading process, inshallah, but we don't call it that way. Does it make sense? I mean, these are gaining momentum in US, you know, ACG, SRI, but again, it's not the same thing. There is a big overlap when it comes to tobacco, when it comes to like media, you got investing in defense, but believe me, ECG has so many items that's not allowed in Sharia. Other than pork, like they have, for example, some of them, they don't even care, like they invest in some kind of like activity that promotes some kind of like, for example, that can harm the society. Not just the pork, I'm talking about the different things, right? When we realize like there is also something called like faith-based investing for Christians, for example. We also did the research on that. And there's a big overlap. The good thing is there's maybe 70 to 80% overlap, but there's another 20% that doesn't really fit the Sharia rules. That's why we had to eliminate them.
Yeah. All right. There is another question from Fahad Hussein. Is there any internship opportunity in Musaffa for students who are currently studying in Islamic finance and also economics?
That's a very good question. Actually, there is, and we are actually actively recruiting people for internship right now from Malaysia, Indonesia. That is the market. I think there's going to be huge opportunity there, and what we're doing, and there are opportunities definitely, and we have they can reach out to Aulia, and she's been with us for a while, alhamdulillah. So we're looking more people who can help us to get access to like these markets, like from marketing to right now, for example, we just hired a translator, like translating all our posts and blogs to like Indonesian language. So we are hiring somebody full time, and we just hired somebody. We're also expanding in this area. So there are multiple positions we're offering. They can reach out the details to Aulia. Again, alhamdulillah, we are growing, and we see tremendous opportunity in that part of the world.
Alhamdulillah. All right. Any more question? If you have more question, you can just unmute yourself and then
Yes, please.
Yeah, speak up. Maybe maybe Dr. Riyasa wants to ask question, also Prof. Suhaimi or Dr. Naha or anybody. Please. Anyone? Maybe Dr. Nizam Barum have more question. Yeah. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Please speak up.
Thank you for the talk. I can see you, but you cannot see me.
That's fine. We can hear you.
I think the intention of you establishing the company with the purpose to create awareness, education, and participation by Muslims to join the stock market is very good and noble. I just want to give you the perspective that the Malaysian government has done in order to attract more Malaysians, in particular the native people like Malay Muslims, to participate in the equity market. We established, for example, like Amanah Saham Nasional or Amanah Saham Bumi Putra. This is a public unit trust kind of investment to pool fund and invest. Even then, the target when it was launched in 1970, the target is to have 30% participation in equity market, but it falls short even up until now. Despite the permissibility rulings and so on, still there are the counter argument, it's shubhah and so on. So that's in the context of a Muslim country like Malaysia. And now you are trying to do it in a more challenging situation given where you are located. So that's one perspective that I want to, at least my students who join should also see the struggle that Malaysian government want to have participation, yet we still cannot achieve that. Number two, I think you talk about the need to invest in stock market in particular with the aim, among others, to allow for more financial freedom opportunities, because that's where pool of funds are circulating. So you want to get more money of that, you don't go to the place where there is no money, you go to the place where there are money all around and easy to get. So stock market definitely is the place. Despite that, despite the beauty of investment in stock market, I think you did not give enough perspective how people don't also make money in stock market. I tell you, you may talk about from US market perspective. I have been investing in Malaysia for quite some time, and companies in Malaysia is not companies like US. I go overseas now. I don't do much in Malaysia now because COVID, financial crisis, you know, from blue chip companies, you can become penny companies. So the dimension of investment actually require much more broader perspective and where it is, what stock market matters. I think that's a big challenge if you want to bring people to join. I think investment in US, NASDAQ, Fortune 500, all those are good, but I applaud your attempt to make it clearer which one is more Shariah compliant, which one is not. I think that's two of my comments. Thank you.
Okay, let me ask for this interesting thing you came up. Okay, think about this way. Think about this way. The stock market, you can lose money, definitely. And a lot of people lose money. Again, what's the number one reason losing money? Not knowing what you're doing. That's the number one reason. The more you know about what you're doing, the more confident you come. I can personally tell you, alhamdulillah, in my life and career, in the long run, I always made money. I always made money. Yes, there's been parts I lost money, but in general,
as an expert, you can make money. But let me give you perspective. I give you the case where even if, you know, in Malaysia, we have institutions investing money in the stock market. Those institutions who park most of their money in Malaysian context are struggling.
Okay.
So there is a need for these institutions to venture out because the grass are much greener outside in this country. You see?
I do understand. I think let me give you an answer, please. I know what you're saying. So think about this way. I have a vision personally. I think very like I want to see the big picture. Think about this way. What's the growth of world GDP per year right now? You can answer it. Like in general, what's been the percentage of growth world GDP per year for the past 10 years, for example, right? So if you look at it, it's about was it like 3%, maybe plus minus per year? So what I mean, if you look at the, think about this way, there's year to year, there's advancement in the development of the world in general. So what you're saying is specific to Malaysia. I get that. I know US is more advanced. I get that. But what we are trying to, we have a bigger picture. So not a very like smaller picture. Think about this way. If you want to reach to somewhere, let's say you want to reach, you want to go to a grocery store from the house, right? How are you going to go? You can run, or you can, sometimes you need to go like, let's say, go 2-3 steps and then move back 2 steps. You can go 3 steps, move back 2 steps. You're still going to reach a grocery store. But this is the same thing. It's not always about making money. Sometimes you lose money, but in the long run, in general, people's wealth is going to grow because of the growth of the economy of the world. The growth, the real GDP is growth. Think about in 20 years ago.
I think you missed my point. I think I'm not arguing that we should not invest in stock market. I'm giving you the picture. Let me give you another dimension.
Sure.
Okay. Let me give you another dimension. Give me a chance to say something from. Okay. Let's say I really want to invest in whatever Shariah approval companies that you have listed, and I suppose most of them are US companies, right?
Not really.
Okay. All right. It is not easy.
We've seen in
For your
Malaysia,
information, it is not easy for me in Malaysia to get access to your to the opportunities offered by you because of some regulations here. I cannot, for example, I cannot even download Robinhood, Webull over here, right? There are opportunities. I can use the traditional platform, but that's more expensive.
Exactly.
You see?
That's why
So,
we are here. That's why we wanna, inshallah. That's
make
one
sure
of the reasons.
your app or whatever is approved by our SC or Muslim countries SC. That's my point.
Okay, good question. Actually, interestingly, because there is one person actually used to work for another company, I'm not gonna name. He recently joined us, inshallah. And that person had experience of getting a license in security from Exchange Commission in Malaysia. And right now, where we are, we just started last year, alhamdulillah. Right now, we're building this screening platform, which we don't need any kind of license for now. But after New Year, inshallah, we're gonna work towards getting our license from the United States, from Security Exchange Commission. We already have the work in progress. But here's the thing, you are giving us the problem. What the problem is like, I want to invest in Apple, I cannot do it. I want to invest in a company in Brazil, I cannot do it. Yes, we know that. We know the problem. And we also talked about it during at the beginning of I talked about the regulation, the rules and stuff like that. But they're there. But inshallah, our goal is to break them. It won't be easy, but it won't be, as I was saying, we're thinking about the long term. It might not happen in one country, but it can happen in another country. So our goal is like, maybe you're in Malaysia. What if you want to invest in like Vale, for example, from Brazil, or you want to invest in Russian telecom, some company? Why cannot you? I can from US right now. I can almost invest anywhere in the world. Why cannot you? So that's a question. So our goal is to bring to Malaysia, sit down with the regulators and tell them, okay, if you want the open market, you got to change the rules, or you got to do this. And it's been done. And I was talking to a person who just joined us, actually, he's done it. They didn't have a license specific for that one. I'm not mentioning the company, but they're big in Malaysia. So they went there, they sat down with regulators, they actually changed rules. Because that's what's being from the US, coming with a stronger background is gonna help us. Inshallah, because when you go talk to people, they're also human beings and they want the participation to go higher. And we want to break those rules. It won't be easy. Maybe it's not going to happen in Malaysia, Indonesia. It can happen in Bangladesh. We don't know yet, unless we do it. So if you're going to see the challenge and then say, okay, it's not possible, and walk away, who's going to do it? Somebody got to do it, right? That's why we are here. That's why we want every single person from any part of the world should be able to invest anywhere in the world.
Just to interrupt.
Yeah.
I think you are trying to make it more democratized, where people can participate. That's why
that's our dream.
That's why I mentioned earlier, in the context of this country, Malaysia, even institutions like pension funds institution, they are tight in terms of how much they can park money outside. So, you know, I don't understand why government do that. Yeah, government must have good reasons when they put these rules and regulations, but to argue based on risk, you know, we don't want to be exposed. I think these people are smart enough to make decision on their own investment, even for individuals. So I'm all for, you know, you can invest all over the world as long as they are Shariah compliant. We don't want just Muslim American to get rich. We Malaysian Muslim also want to get rich.
That's why we are here. We could just get rich in America right now, and we don't need to think about the rest of the world. But alhamdulillah, that's not what we believe in. Again, it won't happen in one day, but you know what? Rome wasn't built in a day. It might take 20 years to do that, but somebody got to do it. If not us, who's going to do it? So yeah, thank you for your feedback, but we realize that issue. We know that it's not just that. I'm from Central Asia. We don't even have a stock market there. But doesn't mean it doesn't have to be there. For example, think about any country. They're using iPhone. They didn't have iPhone 20 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So it's called leapfrogging, right? If you think about technological perspective, think about it this way. In Africa, maybe they didn't have a landline for 100 years. They never seen a phone. But all of a sudden, they have iPhone now. So they didn't have to go through this process in US where they had to go through a landline for another 100 years. They just start using the latest technology. That's the age we live in now. We don't have to go through this hardship to actually get the best. And technology can provide that. We just need to go and persuade the people actually in power, actually, who can help with that. So Yeah, thanks for the feedback. But we do realize that issue. Again, I'm that guy. I'm a very optimistic person. If I see an issue, I don't see it as half like empty. I try to see it as half full. As I was saying from the beginning, if we can improve any common person's life, I'm talking about the minuscule of the percentage, we will be happy because we made a big change. And then we believe in that. That's why we start this company.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Na. And we still have like around 8 to 9 minutes. If anyone would like to ask question, please unmute yourself. Anyone, please? We still have a lot of time, like 8 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, please.
Please. It's a very vibrant discussion. So please make it even more vibrant. Anybody? Maybe the someone wants to comment more, or maybe Dr. Yasser.
Okay.
All right. Anybody, please?
Aulia, are you here?
Kulliyyah.
Yes, I'm here. I'm
Yeah,
holding the whole session.
maybe you can talk for 5 minutes before finalize about you joining us. It can also help the people
Yeah,
there,
the experience.
Yeah, experience, how you feel about the vision, or how do you feel about the being part of the team. So since you are located in the Malaysia, Indonesia area, that can also maybe help students there actually get to know us better, with your a little bit perspective.
Yeah, maybe I can talk my experience joining here in Musaffa. So basically, I'm graduated from IIM, IBF. So I just graduated this year. And my research is about financial literacy. And then start searching these opportunities, and I found this company previously known as AmanaTrade, whereby I like the vision and mission. The company wants to democratize Islamic finance, want to promote Islamic finance to the world. So I have this financial literacy research. So I want to involve in it. I don't want my research is just sit on the book or just sit on the paper, but I want to make real practice on how to help improving this kind of financial literacy. So I applied for internship. Maybe someone is asking about internship just now. I have shared the information. If you are interested to join as an internship in Musaffa, you can check out the link I have shared in the chat box. Yeah, I started from internship. So yeah, I did like my 2 months internship with them. Yeah, basically during my internship, I want to prove myself that I'm serious with what I'm doing, because I'm serious on what I want to do in contributing in spreading this Islamic finance literacy. So yeah, basically that's how I started working with Musaffa. And yeah, I'm excited what we are doing here. Especially, I like what Mr. Dilshod doing. He's very experienced and an expert in his field. And I've seen like the reports that we are building, like the countries and the market that we are planning to cover. And yeah, we are doing an effort on that. And yes, if you have a vision, especially for my colleagues, my friends in IIM, who is about to graduate, if you have a vision in promoting Islamic finance, maybe if you're interested to join with AmanaTrade, Musaffa, I think this is the best place because this is New York based. Mr. Dilshod, he has experience with the advanced financial market there, and he wants to bring his knowledge here in other Muslim countries. And yeah, if you have a vision on promoting Islamic finance, definitely we can together contribute in realizing it with AmanaTrade. Yeah, that's all my 2 cents of experience working with them.
As I'm concerned, there is another student, isn't it, from IIUM? Yasmin. No, Yasmin. She's doing. Is she still doing internship, isn't it, with Musaffa?
Currently, she has been working with another, I think, maybe.
Oh, she
bank.
has finished her internship. Yeah. So.
She works somewhere else now.
All right. There is another question here, Mr. Dilshod, from Dr. Nizam. How can the research capacity at IIUM assist your organization? That is, any specific area of the screening methodology require research inputs?
Okay. The question is like, how can they, let me see, I think, how can the research capacity at IIM assist your organization, right? Any specific area of screening methodology require research inputs? Definitely. So right now, one challenge is this. Again, as I was saying, inshallah, our goal is to be most accurate stock screener. Again, we're not a stock screening company. Okay, we were building financial institution. Inshallah, we're gonna have like investment management part tomorrow. Maybe inshallah, we're gonna develop some kind of payment system or some kind of crypto. We are open-minded, and we're gonna look at what the world needs. Okay, but we start from stock screener because ourselves, we need that product, but we couldn't find any single one we could depend on to build our products on. Because once you have the problem, as I was saying, like out of 100%, only 3% investable in the market. If you take out the bond, fixed incomes, the derivatives, right? So if you take that one, so 3%. So Muslims, they don't have a much choice. They have to go with equity, or they got to go with scoop, which is not, it's based on institutions. So equity is kind of like their only option. That's why we realize it's so important. What we do is so important, a lot of responsibility. So how can they help us? For example, we are doing all the way like research in and out. We go in the report stuff, but maybe it's not enough. So maybe in that way, we are telling our analysts actually contact the companies and get more data from them. So, and they're inshallah going to be much more friendly because again, we are trying to build this global kind of platform, right, where they want to be part of it, inshallah. And from screening methodology, so research, it's basically do more like research about the local companies. So we can cover them actually, not just based on the financial statements, actually what's happening within the company. So again, we're not limited to just looking at the report, okay, pass, fail. I think a lot of companies, they're doing that and they're missing a lot of stuff that they're missing. We're going deep and deep and deep. We go to website, we go that. Right now, we're trying to build some kind of like, with the investor relations of the companies, actually develop some kind of communication, trying to find out actually what's going on actually in the company, what their practices are. For example, there's a supermarket called Hero, and I was in Indonesia, right? So when we did that, we cannot find the certificate for their halalness, right? For example, Nestle, if you look at the Malaysia, it's amazing because they're one of the pioneers of actually certificates of halalness and everything, you know, they put on the website and they have everything, but some places they don't. For Indonesia, like we need to reach out to people like actually in these companies and try to figure out actually, do they have a certification or not? And it's not listed in there, doesn't mean they don't have it. So we got to do a little bit deeper research within the country, every single company. That 1 to 5 matters. 1 to 5, 5 being most compliant. If you're really religious, you want to be like investing as much as you can, invest in only in 5s. You can still make money, hopefully.
Mr. Dilshod, I have a question actually. Another question. Basically, you are. I think what we are doing in AmanaTrade is we are trying to prepare some kind of reports. Maybe you can give a view of how this report can help IIUM. Maybe we can collaborate with them. How maybe we can give them some kind of discount of subscription on our report to help them doing this kind of research.
Yes.
I think this is education institutions, not only IIUM, there will be they might need this kind of data, you know. So can you give us a view on that?
Yeah, definitely. So again, I was telling to our chief marketing officer, we were talking about the pricing and everything about the product. So what our vision, right? Our vision, alhamdulillah, it's like educating people around the world. And it's not just making money. You know, I think money is going to be there no matter. If you love what you do, you don't need to worry about the money. That's why I believe it. So when it comes to our product, inshallah, definitely we will. Students gonna have special access. Maybe we're gonna give them free access for some time. You know, where they can learn. And we also gonna over time build like research tools inside the platform. We're thinking about actually doing research also inside the platform, not just look at the halal haram. Right now, from the get-go, we can see like the status. We can also recommendation of the companies. So Muslims have double challenge, right? So if you're non-Muslim, you don't care where you're investing, you can look at the recommendation of the analyst, and then you can take, okay, the recommendation is to buy this stock, I need to buy. But that's not an option for us. For us, it has to go through the filter first. And if it's Sharia compliant, then you can look at the recommendation, because they're two separate things. Sharia compliant doesn't mean it's recommended to buy the stock. It's just the operations are Sharia compliant. That's just one step. But once you pass it, then you're gonna look at the company. I don't care what kind of company it is. It could be the best, but if it's not Sharia compliant, it's out of the picture. We're not even touching that. But if it's Sharia compliant, then we can do in-depth research of the companies, and we're gonna provide that inside our platform, inshallah. And anybody from anywhere in the world, they can go. And this has not been done in global scale. I haven't seen anybody doing this at this level. So inshallah, we are done. Again, we have the expertise to do so. We have one of the best marketing agency in the world from Canada. And inshallah, we got, as I was saying, the person is joining from a very big company that, alhamdulillah, we're very successful in Indonesia, in Malaysia. So we have the resources, alhamdulillah, to do what we intend to do. Right now, we covered 100% Malaysia, Indonesia. You can come and sign a platform and use it for free. We're not charging anything right now. So Indonesia, 100%. So we analyze over 1,600, like 1,600 stocks in Indonesia, Malaysia, completely covered. We covered like 500 biggest stocks in US. Right now, we're covering more US stocks in Canada, UK, Singapore. Our goal is to completely cover all the companies in the world and then do in-depth research in every single level. So anybody from anywhere can find out what's going on. And the second part of it, as our brother said, that about the trading platform, it won't happen in one day. But we want to create this kind of like global platform where anybody from anywhere in the world can actually, it's going to happen in one day, I believe, because it's a big globalization. I know there's a local rules and stuff, and most of them, they are there for protectionism. They want to protect their like assets. That's all there is. I mean, US is very open when it comes to trade. Like European countries are very open when it comes to trade. But some reason for these developing countries, they still have limitations. But I think, inshallah, over time with the technology, we're gonna overcome them.
All right. So I think that's enough, because we already at 4 a.m. now in Malaysia.
Inshallah.
I think it's already 10 p.m. in New York, I believe.
Yes.
Right. So I think that ends our our talk and also Q&A session.
Let me just add some thank note. Dr. Intan, okay?
Sure.
All right.
Yes, sure, please.
Thank you very much once again, Mr. Dilshod Beg. Also, Sister Aulia for arranging all this, and of course, our moderator, Dr. Intan, for making this a wonderful, fruitful session. Yeah. So we really are grateful to all of you, including our colleagues, our department staff from Department of Economics, Kulliyyah of Economics and Management Science. Also our wonderful audience, our staff from IIBF and INHART, and also our wonderful PG, postgraduate students and graduate students, and all of you. Thank you very much at this stage.
We also have public from outsider. We also have some public audience here from Sunway University and whatnot. All right. So
very good.
All right.
Thank you very much once again. Yes.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. It's my pleasure actually to share my vision and dream. Our company share. And as you can see, we are very passionate about this, and we're working day and night. And actually, interesting, before I say bye, we have already being a small like company right now. We got people from 6-7 different countries. Inshallah, this company, our vision is never going to stop working. So that's why we still make a joke when we go to sleep here, they start working Malaysia, Indonesia. So it's going to be around the clock, inshallah. That's going to help us to grow faster, inshallah.
All right. So again, thank you very much to all audience and also especially Mr. Dilshod for spending your time. You know, it's almost like, you know, around 10 something now.
It's
in New
okay. We
York.
work till like sometimes like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We got used
Oh,
to
right.
work there
All
now,
right.
so,
All right. All
yeah.
right. So and also I would like to thank Miss Aulia for, you know, for the communication. And also I would like to thank, although Yasmin is not here and Yasmin is no longer working with Musaffa, but the first step was done by Yasmin actually. So I really want to thank her for this brilliant, you know, collaboration,
Yes.
although she's not here. Okay, so thank you
Thank you
again.
so much.
May we meet again in the future, you know, programs, inshallah. So with that,
Yeah.
please, Mr. Dilshod, please.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to us. Again, we are definitely looking for internships. Again, we are trying to expand. We know there is a huge demand. The interest is amazing. We have literally like 10,000 people signed up. I mean, for the waitlist and everything. We have over 10,000 people like followers on the Facebook already. So the tremendous interest about this from Muslim community, actually. We just start out, inshallah.
I think you did mention earlier about your Facebook or whatnot. Can you share the link here so that maybe, you know, all of the audience here can
definitely. Let me share the link if you don't mind.
Maybe they can follow your corporation.
Yeah,
Share
actually, I don't mind sharing it either here. So you can guys watch it. 1 second. Let me turn it off. This one. So 1 second. I can show you live here. So we prepare so many posts and blogs. I should actually show this one. If you don't mind, I'm going to take 5 minutes to show it, okay?
Yeah, please.
So we have a website, so Musaffa right here. So let me show you how it works. I should have done that a while ago. So since we're on the Zoom. So this is our platform. So as you guys can see, this is a most comprehensive halal stock ETF screener in the world, inshallah. And we are saying the first truly global halal trading platform. We're gonna start building this after New Year, inshallah. Our goal. Inshallah. So we're gonna where they can, as you can see, you will be able to search for and trade halal stocks and ETFs on the same platform. So you don't have to look at the different platforms. You can do it exactly from one platform. It's gonna be educational, financial education, and again, stock screener and trading platform, investment research. We want to build one platform for that. And then there's the reasons why you should join us. Again, we got Shariah supervised stock recommendations, halal trading platform. We have community here, Muslim investors community, investment education. So it's like comprehensive. And this is the thing that's actually in production right now. We got over 90 countries, 3,500 people joined, and we have like another close to 6,000 people on wait list right now. And we just they waitlisted. We're asking them to join now. So we got this one again. Shariah advisors. We have this is actually popular. Like he's a Shaykh Dr. Aznan, and as you can see, he's also a member of AFI, so auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions that we were trying to promote. And this is actually moved for us from England. Very popular in that arena with the Shariah advisors. So, and again, this is about us. So it talks about our vision, mission, and then this is the team. We are expanding. So we actually, we are doing, in 2 weeks, we're gonna have a brand new website. We're gonna be about 20 people in there, inshallah. So, and here, again, Dr. Aznan, I don't know if you guys know, he's a president of Association of Sharia Advisory Islamic Finance, also deputy chairman of Sharia Advisory Council at Security Exchange Commission of Malaysia. So he's our official advisor. So we get the meeting and then we have questions he can answer. He also sits in the AFI, which makes it more credible because we get to hear exactly what kind of rules they're making there. So we follow it properly. So, and then we have Academy, which is interesting. I want to show you its Academy. This is, we have over 250 posts. That's what the Awliya actually contributes a lot. Writing articles that actually relate to Islamic finance, not just the stock market, it's general. Again, they have different topics. For example, know the roles of 9 entities inside mutual funds. We talk about difference between halal investment and ethical investment, for example. And then we have investments like halal stock investing 101 I was telling. This is also important. This is like we are trying to educate people actually when they invested. For example, one thing I'm gonna go Yahoo Finance here. If you go Yahoo Finance, let's say you look at any other company. Let's say I'm gonna go Apple, for example. So I'm gonna look Apple. So when you look at this one, like look at the summary. How many people, like regular people, understand exactly what it is? It's very basic thing to me, being in the profession for years. But if I tell you like EPS or PE ratio, what does it mean? What's TTM? What it means? They need to know this one, at least to get to know the company better. This is a different metrics. And look at the statistics. If you go there, people are gonna get lost. They don't know what the operating margin, return on equity, return on assets. So what we're doing actually, we are preparing like investment series, taking our time, market cap, enterprise value. What's the difference? Or how to strategically estimate target value. What's forward dividend yield and dividend policy? And if you say, okay, I want to know what it is, then you can go inside and we explain in detail. Right now, this is for example, investment series part 12. We are developing from part 1 to part 100. So break down every single thing that you can understand it and read it. For now, it says next one, inshallah, we plan to do like different videos and everything. So again, this is our actually different posts you can find. That's what the academy is. We also have a community here where we can we start this community where people it's just taking off, where people can come and ask any kind of question. They get responses, and I asked actually Faraz actually to lead it, and he agreed, inshallah. So he's gonna be answering questions too, like again, what's the cryptocurrency, like is it halal or not? Come and ask this question here. We're gonna get the answer, inshallah, from the best Sharia advisors in the world. They can come and give a specific answer. So we create the community again, and we have a platform, especially this platform I was saying. Of course, if I go, let me go log out and try the login. So let me see if it. So we tried to say it's most halal stocks again. This is being updated. Next week, we're gonna have a really lot better platform, inshallah. For example, this is start US. Now we added Indonesia, Malaysia. So when you come in, you're gonna see the most popular, like most Sharia compliant Indonesia, Malaysian stocks. For example, let's say I'm gonna go with I'm gonna look at the Nestle, for example, right? So this is from Malaysia. So you see the rating is really good, but the average analyst, they're saying it's sell for some reason. 19 analysts cover it, and on average, it has a sell rating, but it's very Sharia compliant. And you can also see the related stocks. So that's related to the industry, related to Nestle. So you don't even need to click on these red ones because they failed it. But all the green ones are good. So let's say you want to do more research. I want to go look at this company. And this got actually 5 out of 5. This is really good. So, and also what I was saying, this has got 4 out of 5. This Sharia compliant being, right? What I was saying, inshallah, right here, we're going to have a full report. When you click it, we're going to have a full report. It's going to have every single detail breaking out, why Sharia compliant, every single financial, if it's a debt, how much debt they have, how much interest they pay. I mean, it's a lot of work. We intend to cover like 90 to 100,000 stocks around the world and update them constantly. So right now in our plan, we are hiring like, but mostly we are hiring from Central Asia. We are hiring like 40 analysts right now, 40. So because this is an intensive work to do worldwide. Right now we have actually 6 analysts. We're expanding, inshallah. So analyze every single company, go to the reports. For example, I'm going to give you one very good example before we say, I should have done that. Sorry, like probably I was going to do the slides. So if you go Edgar SEC, for example, so this is all the public companies in the United States. Let's say I want to do Apple. So I'm going to go Apple, and they just released their annual report for 10K is the annual report. It's October 29th, so it's based on September 25th data. So this is the report we're going to have to go through. It's like, basically, it's like 200 pages. We need to find out, going through reports, every single page, we need to find out this company is Sharia compliant or not. So it's a lot of work. It takes hours of work, but we don't mind doing the hard work. For example, if you look at the revenue here, or let me look at the cash. Okay, this is the balance sheet, and we know exactly how much cash they have, $34 billion around this date. But if you look at the revenue, for example, if you look at the revenue, where they make the money from? They made altogether like $365 billion in 1 year. Amazing, $365 billion. So if you look at here, we can look at the breakdown. We can look for a breakdown for us. Let's see if we can find the breakdown, right? So 1 second. And then we're gonna end it. So I was saying this one, for example, let's say revenue. So this number here, let me copy this number. Let me try to pass it. Okay, if you look at the revenue breakdown right here. So if you look at the revenue, they make like, let's say 39% of their revenue from iPhone, $191 billion. And Mac, they make this much. So if you look at the services, they make 27% of the revenue from services. But if you look at the breakdown of this three right here, you're gonna see where they make the money from. So services, they make 27% revenue from service. Services net sales include sales from company advertising. Advertising goes under like orange, which means like questionable. We gotta dig deeper. And Apple Care is good, cloud is good, digital content is not. Questionable because they have music, they have all kind of like TV shows and stuff like that, and payment other services. As you can see, this advertising and digital content, we don't know exactly what percent of revenue comes from there. That makes it problematic. Based on Sharia rules, because until up to 5% could be non-Sharia compliant, that's the best we can do. And that revenue, whatever you make the money, you need to invest it 5% to sadaqah or purification, otherwise it doesn't work. But when you don't know, if you look at this one, and we looked over and over, they don't break down this 27%. So this inside this 27% revenue, you have advertising and digital content, makes this company automatically questionable. It's better to stay away from this company if you want to be completely Sharia compliant. And it's just the one question, but of course, it's just the one condition. Of course, we're gonna have to look at the balance sheet, for example, go over every single thing, like let's say, here we go, like look at this cash, investment institution. We go every single line items. Look at this, money market funds, automatically interest bearing, mutual funds, so equity securities, not interest bearing, treasurers interest bearing, agency securities interest bearing, securities interest bearing, deposit, time deposit interest bearing, commercial paper interest bearing. So almost everything is interest bearing here, everything. So we're gonna take this one as an interest bearing, we take the total, we add them up for every single line item. And at the end, we're gonna get, we're not gonna go and say that just look at the, just one line item. We're gonna go deeper to every single line item we can go. And it hasn't been done. I went through so many different like companies who was trying to do this one. They just scratch the surface, they move on. For example, they look at the service is good. What the Apple can do bad, right? So the service good. And then I see so many places, Apple is like halal all over. So we're saying, okay, we gotta put it a little bit different. So for example, this one, look at the net income. We're gonna look at the net income. We're gonna find out what percent is also coming from their like interest income. Right, we look at that. So anyway, as you can see, like we go in here line by line items. Sometimes you look at the items, it has a breakdown. We're not satisfied by just looking at it. Marketable securities, oh, we don't know exactly what it is, so we're gonna take this total right here, we're gonna search for it, and usually they're very good with the information, right? So you can search for it right there. Nice. It has all the breakout that you need for market securities, and we know exactly how much is invested in what kind of security. So I just want to share with you what we're doing, and every company that you analyze from stock goes through that process. Right now we have 7 people actually working day and night analyzing companies. That's how we were able to do Malaysia and Indonesia. So I just want to let you know how hard we're working. Every single company has, think about it, we had to go through almost 2,000 companies annual reports and financial reports. So anyway, I know it went over a little bit. I just wanted to show you like actually what we're doing for every single company.
Yeah, perhaps we can have another different talk for specific or specialized area in this. Inshallah, if you don't mind, So I think thank you again, Mr. Dilshod, for your for your time, for your knowledge, your sharing session. It's very beneficial for all of us. And again, we would like to thank to all participants for attending and for joining us, for the brilliant Q&A sessions as well. So I hope all of us benefits from this, and may Allah reward all of us with abundant reward for attending this knowledge seeking session. Okay, so thank you again, Mr. Dilshod, Ms. Aulia, and also Dr. Aslamia, and also participant. Thank you again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good night to New York, and salam Jumaah to all Malaysians and all people in Malaysia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, Aslam. Thank you, Aslam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Intan. It was a wonderful session, mashallah, especially the last part.
Yeah, the last part, it should have been done earlier, but I think it's okay. But I think it's a pick one, so it's good to be at the end.
Yes. I think our student might need, they need to see this kind of live sessions.
Yeah. Actually the last part actually is the practical side of working that student never feel in the class. Actually, that's the good thing about it.
Exactly.
Because what we have in lecture, we don't have enough time to explain all of those things.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But when we bring somebody who is in the industry,
expert,
show them exactly how they screen it. What we say in the class is different.
Yes.
Not different. What we say in the class is just theory. You get what I mean?
This is industry and practice.
This is really practical. So
and look at the way he's quite
take this chance.
He's quite passionate, His passion about
Yes. Yes, you can see from the beginning. You can
Yes.
see. And he knows what he's doing.
He can go for another 2 hours if we allow that.
Yes. I was about to say to him, but I forgot. You should be a lecturer,
Very good. We are very happy, Dr. Intan, for bringing this to
thank you.
To our department seminar. I really appreciate, I really also request other lecturers as well to bring speaker like this.
And also students actually, because because this I get from my own students who are doing internship. So those students who are here, those students who are here, if you're doing internship and you find your speaker, your boss are, very, very keen to do this kind of thing, just introduce them to us. We can also invite them. It's for the benefits of your junior as well, although you will be graduating very soon. Okay, those who are still here. All right, so
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Speak Farah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.